What's up, A to Z Sports Live here on a Wednesday. Gonna have a good show. Sam Phelan making his first appearance on the show of the week, reacting to the entire Titans draft class because we spent the last couple of shows talking about the first round pick in JC Latham, and then yesterday on a Tuesday, spending a lot of time on Tavondre Sweat, the Titans' second round draft pick. So now we're gonna do the best and the worst of the entire class. We'll focus on the best picks that Sam and I believe the Titans found on day 3 of the draft. And then after that, we're going to group everybody together with 7 picks in this entire class and think about who is our worst pick of the class when it comes to value. So good value, good picks, bad picks, in our opinions. So we're going to have a great show on this Wednesday. We'll also wrap it up with sports trivia, trying to go 9 for 9 in our sports trivia game here to wrap up this show. So, Sam, we're also going to let you defend your boy to open the show as well, as Zach and I both disagreed with, I think, well, not necessarily disagreed, but we're very skeptical and critical of the Tavondre Sweat off the field stuff with a DWI and controlling his weight. And you've been a pro Sweat guy for months now. So we'll let you defend your guy off the top of the show, but welcome in. Let's get this thing rolling.
Hey, let's do it. It's a Wednesday. It's a good day to talk draft and recap this draft class, and it's a good day for everybody watching to share the show. So if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit that share button in the bottom right. If you're watching on YouTube, take the YouTube link, send it to a friend, text it into a group chat, find a Titans fan or a football fan in your life. And spread the word, introduce them to A to Z Sports, get them in here every morning, joining us as we talk Titans. And let's kick things off here on a Wednesday morning.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter at A to Z Sports.com, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time. On Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for all of our great content about the Titans. Also got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com, to make them a part of your new car buying process. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans and get a quote to start that today at fbhp.com/ATOZ. So there is a little bit of housekeeping before we get to your defense of Tavondre Sweat as the Titans' 38th overall pick in this draft. But Just Smash won a hat. He goes, "Hey, Austin, how do I get in touch with you about the hat from Zach's bet?" Zach infamously said that JC Latham would not be a first-round pick. Newsflash, he absolutely was.
JC Latham is not going to be drafted in the top 10. That's a fact.
So there's Zach being wrong.
Fact. Oh, yeah,
that's
fact.
That's bad. That's bad. So Just Smash bet Zach an A to Z hat. It's right there on the bench in my office, off to my left. I have it. So Just Smash, if you could, DM me on Twitter might be the easiest way and least way to dox myself here live on the show. But if you have Twitter, DM me there. If you don't have Twitter, go find a bum on the street, borrow his, and DM me on Twitter. If you don't get that reference, that's from Remember the Titans film of 2001, except it's a suit. So that's how you can get ahead of me, get to me there on Twitter there, Just Smash. So with that, Sam, I will let you defend your guy, Tavondre Sweat, who was the 38th overall pick by the Titans in the second round. So, floor is yours.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of the stuff being floated out there, and I think, some of the people coming after Tavondre Sweat, frankly, just don't know what they're talking about at all. Now, I am curious to hear what the argument was against the pick from you and Zach in the morning, just so we can kind of break down the nuances of this. I mean, I don't think you guys are reacting quite as dramatically as some of the things that I've seen out there. And you understand that there is some nuance to this a little bit, but what are the concerns with Sweat, or why are you not thrilled with the pick at 38?
I feel like the value wasn't there because of the DWI, and I understand there was a run on tackles that happened after that. I don't necessarily think that Braden Fisk at 39 by the Rams meant that they would have taken Sweat in the trade up if Sweat was there. I just think that was more circumstantial. I think the Titans, honestly, the thing that Zach said yesterday that really kind of made me go, yeah, it's a good point, is T'Vondre Sweat says, if I was at 355 pounds, I'd be a Hall of Famer. Well, then why aren't you? Like, that's in your control.
He does play. I mean, he's 360 or whatever. He plays around 360.
Well, there's Dane Brugler of The Athletic said that he was approaching 390 in the college football playoff, and then he did not weigh in at the Senior Bowl in Mobile in late January, about a month or less than a month after that college football playoff game. And then he weighed in at the combine at 366. So I don't think he was playing at 366 last season, unless we're talking about September. So I think the DWI is a failure of an IQ test. It's just stupid. And I don't care if he was the one that got rear-ended by another vehicle. The fact is that he put himself in that situation in the most important 3 months of his career to this point, of knowing that you have to do everything right. And you can't do anything dumb like that at that point, and it's avoidable. And then also just the ability to control his weight on a consistent basis, I think, is important. You see, Traylon Burks is a guy that we've talked about ad nauseum for the last 2 years about controlling the weight, which helps with conditioning, which helps with the ability to make plays and stay healthy. And here you go, T'Vondre Sweat, needs to control his weight. And why isn't he at 355 if he thinks that's going to get him a gold jacket, a large one? So that's where my concern is overall. To be the 38th pick, right? And that's sure. It's important to 38th pick, 6 spots away from a first rounder.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that value and that idea of 38. I feel like there is this weird sort of warped perspective when it comes to Sweat at 38, that this was a reach. And the metric that people use is, oh, well, that's what my mock draft database told me. That's what the PFF mock draft simulator told me, was that I could get Sweat in the 5th round. I could get Sweat in the 4th round. Therefore, it's a wild reach. Look at where everybody had him ranked. They didn't have him ranked in the top 40. Which I don't really find to be all that accurate or meaningful. I mean, number one, let's just say straight up, like, what a draft analyst ranks T'Vondre Sweat as is not always reflective of what NFL teams and general managers rank this player as. So that's number one. But let's even pretend for a minute that those rankings were somewhat reflective of where this guy should go. Right prior to his DWI arrest, Dane Brugler has T'Vondre Sweat ranked as the 33rd best player on his board. There's multiple examples of this. Eric Edholm of NFL.com ranks Sweat as the 38th best player on his board. He comes off the board 38th overall. The reason he fell on so many of these big boards was because of an understanding and a perception of so many of these analysts that the DWI was going to affect him in the draft, and they moved him down their big board because of it. That obviously was not the case. Not the case for Ran Carthon. And if you're listening to what Ran Carthon says, not the case for other teams around the league. Ran went on Ramon Kalen Will, 104.5 The Zone. He said the following: I promise that in everything we do, we're well researched. What people don't see is the text messages and calls you get from teams after you take their guy, and how many texts and calls were, we were taking him with our next pick, or great pick. Ran, quote again, I had earmarked on the board, this is the farthest we could go back and still get a guy of this caliber. But even with that, one of the teams that I earmarked we could go below to get him texted me after the draft and said we would have taken him if he was there. So we would have missed out. This was not the Titans reaching. This was the Titans getting their guy in the range that a lot of NFL teams were ready to go and get their guy. I think the run on defensive tackles that you mentioned could be a reflection of that. And so the weight is a thing, obviously. Like T'Vondre Sweat is not going to have as good of an NFL career as he could if he's playing at 390 pounds. If he can play at 350, if he can play at 360, then we're talking, right? And so that is something that he is going to have to control. And that is one of, I think, the risks, and mainly the only risk on field with this draft pick. I mean, every draft pick has a thing, right? If this guy fails, why is he going to fail? Is a question that I like to look at with prospects.
Mhm.
And the same reason that you can sit here and you love a guy like Ricky Pearsall in the draft, I might not like a guy like Ricky Pearsall, and I might say, I don't think he has the play strength. Now, I could be wrong. Ricky Pearsall's route running, all his other things could be very good. And if he has the ability to improve his play strength, he's going to end up being a really good NFL wide receiver. And if he doesn't have the ability to beat the one thing that could hold him back, that's how you get guys that don't always work out quite like they should. So I do think the weight is Sweat's thing. But I think when you look at this player, look at the guys that are in the same caliber as him. Number one, he's an Outland Trophy winner. Guys to do that on the defensive side of the ball are guys like Ndamukong Suh, are guys like Aaron Donald, are guys like Quinnen Williams, even Jordan Davis. Like it's a very small group. He's the sixth in the last 18 years to win a defensive Outland Trophy. Almost all of the guys became very, very good NFL players and or future Hall of Famers. I have not seen a guy play with that level of power that Sweat plays with, where he's kind of impossible to block one-on-one. I think you pair him next to Jeffrey Simmons, and it creates an offensive line really cannot account for both of them at the same time, because you're going to have to double one of them, and you can't. And if they can get penetration up the middle, it makes life really easy to go and get the quarterback elsewhere. So I think he's going to play with a ton of power. I think he's got a very good motor. I do think he's actually very well conditioned, and I think it pops on tape. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say too, I think one misconception is the lack of snaps that he plays, or the average snaps that he plays per game. And I saw F Words Pod put out on Twitter saying that, Texas just had 4 defensive linemen that were pretty damn good. One guy that was the Outland Trophy winner in Sweat picked at 38, and Byron Murphy was picked pretty dang high too. And they had 2 backups, and so they platooned him, 4 D tackle rotation, which means they all didn't get a lot of snaps. But guess who led them in snaps? T'Vondre Sweat. Guess who had the more third down pass rush snaps? T'Vondre Sweat, out of even more than Byron Murphy. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about Sweat. I don't hate the Sweat pick. I don't dislike the guy or the person.
No,
I don't think he's a bad person because he got a DWI. I think he made a stupid mistake, and it lines up with a lot of immaturity that he had previously in his college career that people are talking about.
And 503 snaps, more than any other defensive tackle drafted. Thank you. This is the stuff that lacks context when you've got, everybody Twitter fingers McGee tweeting about how he's a 2-down player. T'Vondre Sweat gives me every reason to believe he can rush the passer at the next level. He gives me every reason to believe he's well-conditioned. Like I said, it's something that pops on tape, where if you go watch his highlights from last season and you go watch all of his tape breakdown, there are multiple times where a defensive tackle is hitting a runner, whether it's a running back or a quarterback, 8 to 10 yards past the line of scrimmage, because he's not giving up on a play and he's hustling to the ball at all times. I think that's a really good example of his motor and his conditioning. So if you look at somebody who can be dominant one-on-one, who can do superhuman things with pushing a guy back with a bull rush with one arm, who can bend one of the best centers in the SEC in half at the Senior Bowl when he's guarded one-on-one, and you really don't believe that a team is going to be able to cover this guy with just one blocker, and now you think, hey, he can also rush the passer, he can also play 3 downs, he has a pretty high motor. Yeah, he needs to stay well-conditioned and keep his weight down, but if he can do that, you're looking at a dominant defensive interior force next to Jeffrey Simmons. It makes all the sense in the world for the Titans to pull the trigger on this one at 38. So I think that's overall my argument. I'm somehow my passion for Sweat and this Sweat pick has gone down because I'm so exhausted by all the idiots.
Fair. And like, I think like, and just to wrap up before we move on to our main question to the audience today is, I think how Zach and I's conversation developed throughout made Zach and I sound more anti the pick than we actually are.
Sure.
Like Zach did say that he thought 38th overall was just right for Sweat. I stand by 38 was too early for Sweat. And if you couldn't trade out of 38, then take Cooper DeJean to play him next to Monty Hooker at safety and have the Iowa Ball Hawkeyes duo back there. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think that would be a good fit. Nobody would have blinked an eye at Cooper DeJean at 38 because the Eagles moved up to get him at 40. And so I think for the most part, I'm not anti Tavondre Sweat. I'm not rooting against him. I don't think he's a bad person. I think he was a risky pick, and he was the one draft prospect that had the most risk surrounding him throughout this last few months because of the DWI. So again, I think that's kind of how we feel about Sweat. Let's go ahead and get to the rest of our conversation today. Here is the full draft class for the Titans, rounds 1 through 7, 5 picks on day 3 of the draft. We're going to ask everybody today, who is your favorite day 3 draft pick? So we're going to exclude J.C. Latham and Tavondre Sweat from this conversation. Who is your favorite day 3 draft pick of these five? Cedric Gray, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., Jaquan Jackson, James Williams, and Jalen Harrell, edge rusher out of Michigan, to wrap that up. So who is your favorite Titans day 3 draft pick from this class? We'll get to those questions and those answers here in a second. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should go for all of your health coverage needs. Farm Bureau Health Plans is their website. FBHP.com/ATOZ is our link for you to help out with your coverage there. You can get better coverage and save money right there with Farm Bureau Health Plans. So go check them out and save money for better coverage. Zach did that. Jack's done that. Several people across Tennessee can do that. Watching the show today, they've been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years. So check out our link for a quote today, FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. They are the king of sports books, and you can get up to $1,500 back in the form of bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So place that first wager at NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. Shout out to the Preds for staying alive and extending that series back to Nashville. So maybe you want to get in on the action for Game 6. Do it with BetMGM. Bonus code ATOZ Sports with the king of sports books.
All right, so who is your favorite day 3 pick of this Titans draft class? We want to focus on those 3 or those day 3 picks, the 5 players. I'll put them up on the screen of Gray, Brownlee, Jaquan Jackson, James Williams, Jalen Harrell, the day 3 picks. Sam, I will toss it to the chat where you can read their answers. And everybody needs to like the show too. We need way more likes on the show on Facebook and on YouTube. So Sam, what are people's answers this morning on favorite day 3 pick?
Ashley is saying Gray, and that was the early overwhelming answer. Mario said Gray. Curtis said Gray. Got Gray from Darius and Patrick Bird, and Steven says Gray. Scott, Rooney, Nate's Burner, Traven says Gray. Sports Fan says Gray easily. Eric had James Williams as his favorite. We got JQ's liking Jaquan Jackson. Alex likes Jarvis Brownlee. Is Deshaun Washington. We've got James Williams from Just Smash as his favorite. Scrolling down a little bit more, James Williams from Brandon, Cedric Gray from Chef Ran, has to be Gray from John and Albert and Billy and Manny. Williams from Rhino, Jaquan Jackson from Kenny Hill, Brownlee from Timmy. More Cedric Gray. Dre thinks Cedric's going to be a dog. Jarvis says, Derek says Jarvis Brownlee Jr. here. Clayton says Gray, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., Cedric Gray, James Williams. So Cedric Gray, the overwhelming answer in the chat, with probably a nice second place going to Jarvis Brownlee here.
So who's your guy, Sam?
Yeah, I'm rolling with the chat here. I'm rolling with Cedric Gray. This was a guy that I think, we had talked about a good bit on the show, like a little bit, especially for like a day 3 inside linebacker as a name we brought up. He was a guy who was on my wish list on A to Z Sports.com prior to the draft. I had Cedric Gray penciled in as the inside linebacker on my wish list for day 3. A really, really productive linebacker, a guy who excels as being able to get to the football, make tackles, make plays, very good in coverage. There are some questions about his play recognition, really is the big knock with him that made him slide a little bit. But I think, the Titans have a defense built right now to help a guy like Cedric Gray thrive. And similar to Kenneth Murray Jr., right? They actually have some similarities to their game. Both of them get downhill very well. Both of them get to the football. Gray is a little bit better as a, kind of a communicator, a little bit better as a guy in coverage. But life is going to be a lot easier for both Gray and Murray with the defensive front the Titans are building. It makes the Tavondre Sweat pick actually look better because now you have a defensive line that you believe is going to be able to get consistent penetration. You're going to have linebackers be able to play downhill. And in this physical attack style of defense with L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie as two really physical corners that can jam at the line of scrimmage and two linebackers that can get downhill, I really like the fit in the defense. And I like it even more because he fits potentially the need for the green dot. Here's Rand Carthon. Cedric, somebody you guys think has the requisite traits to wear the green dot?
I was waiting on the green dot question. I knew it. No, we do. We do think he has those traits. He's an extremely smart guy. He's a 3-year starter, 2-time captain. He has the ability. Didn't have to do it at North Carolina because of the guys he had around him, but he is very capable, as is, Jack Gibbons, as is other guys on our team. So we'll let those guys, figure that part out with Denard and Coach Bush. But, we feel like we got more than enough guys capable of wearing the green dot.
So Jack Gibbons, Amani Hooker was another name that Rand had mentioned on Ramon, Kayla, and Will as a potential green dot. But I think the intention right now is for Cedric Gray to have a shot at it. And when I look at his fit in the defense, when I look at what he does well and what he excels in, I really like this fit. And I think being able to get a guy like this in the 4th round, he could end up being a really key cog in the defensive wheel here for the next 4 years on his rookie contract. And that's huge.
No, I agree. It is big. I like Cedric Gray quite a bit. I think, it's funny, Sam, we did our live mock draft on draft day morning, that Thursday morning last week. And we went, 4 rounds with it?
Yeah.
We knew the Titans had a 106. And in our main one, we had Cedric Gray in that 106 spot, I believe. What didn't we?
Yeah,
was it exactly 106?
Well, I think we had Cedric Gray at some point, and he was.
Or did we? I think that might have been. We did a trade at 38, so maybe that was like at 112 or something. I feel like we traded back a little bit, but we had Cedric Gray in the early 4th round, and I thought we both believed that he would be the right type of guy for this defense in an inside linebacker class that wasn't super impressive. You had, Peyton Willis, who was the most talented guy, but had a lot of injury concerns. Junior Colson, really talented as well, who I thought, man, the Chargers, I feel like, had a draft class that would have been perfect if the Titans could have gotten those 3 of Joe Alt, Ladd McConkey, and then Junior Colson. I feel like the Chargers class mirrored what the Titans could have done. But yeah, Cedric Gray is, I think, a really solid pick at 106 and fills a need. And I think the leadership that he brings as a captain and multi-year starter is a big deal there. So yeah, he's not my favorite of the day 3 guys, but I definitely like Cedric Gray quite a bit. He is my second favorite of the day 3 guys.
He's the only day 3 guy that I think is going to be probably a day 1 starter. And anytime you're looking at a day 3 pick in the NFL draft, if you are getting a player who can legitimately start games for you and be, an important piece of your offense or defense, I think you have to feel pretty satisfied with that pick. There are some other intriguing names that I think will get significant playing time and have roles on this team. But yeah, Gray was the overwhelming one for me for that reason.
All right, so we're asking everybody, what was your favorite day 3 pick by the Titans in this 2024 draft class? My guy was the 5th round pick, and that is Louisville corner Jarvis Brownlee. I think Jarvis Brownlee is an absolute dude. I'm going to play his film breakdown from James Foster of A to Z Sports Film Room, and it's just exactly what we feel like the Titans want as a cornerback. And you just look at how physical this guy is. He feels like a L'Jarius Sneed coming out of college for how aggressive he plays at the line of scrimmage and how he just punks guys at a cornerback spot. And it's not like he's a large guy. He's undersized. And I think if he was a little bit bigger, taller, maybe a little weighed more, maybe had some of those bigger just traits of stature, then he would have gone a lot higher in the 5th round. I think Jarvis Brownlee Jr. is a really strong player for this team. If you're talking about a 5th round corner, this is a guy, and I know, Sam, you watched him a lot at the Senior Bowl, so I'll let you touch on it. I felt like I didn't see anybody else win as many one-on-one reps as a cornerback in drills at Senior Bowl than Jarvis Brownlee Jr.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who really is capable in man coverage and kind of like you said, fits a lot of the style of defense and kind of the qualifications of the top corners on this Titans roster with L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie and even Roger McCreary to an extent. These are guys that, are not afraid to get up on you at the line of scrimmage, not afraid to make contact with you, play really aggressive. He triggers well against the run. And then you're just seeing all these highlights, like you said, of him getting really physical with wide receivers, especially being able to jam. And so, yeah, it's really a physical thing. He didn't run very well. He ran a slow 40 time, doesn't have a ton of great size. So when you just look at the physical traits, I think it's a knock against Jarvis Brownlee and ultimately the reason that he fell to the 5th round. He also has positional versatility, though, and Rand talked about that a little bit during his press conference, recapping it, that he's somebody who can play inside, he can play outside. And when you are adding a guy who plays your style of defense that the Titans are wanting to play and can excel in those areas, and he can go anywhere, line up anywhere on defense, there is value to that. So I think he's kind of a lock to be the CB4 right now to start training camp and puts him in a good position to potentially climb that ladder and earn roles. I'm with you on the kind of how your thoughts are on Gray or my thoughts on Brownlee to an extent. I'm very happy with this pick. He was one of the guys the Titans brought in for a 30 visit, which we know matters. My theory that went on throughout the beginning of the draft ended up, coming to fruition because J.C. Latham's a guy they spend a ton of time with. They spent a lot of time with Tavondre Sweat, so much so that they flew out to Sweat's hometown to do their due diligence on him. They did not have a chance to meet with Cedric Gray at all. I think that was just a positional need. But I was watching for this 5th round pick as some of these corners were coming up and seeing Kalen Carson, Jarvis Brownlee, these guys the Titans met with. Are they looking that way? And sure enough, they are. So I'm happy with this. I think he's going to play a role in 2024. I think he can play special teams and do a little bit of it all. So a very good 5th round pick.
Yeah, so I just played about a minute and a half of Jarvis Brownlee. Let's just
one of the most physical and aggressive press corners in the NFL. He had a great season statistically in 2023, 12 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, just 2 touchdowns allowed. He ranked in the top 10 in a lot of key coverage metrics like forced incompletion rate, yards per cover snap, EPA per target. Since 2021, he leads all cornerbacks in total press coverage snaps. Last year, he had the highest wide receiver 1 shadow rate. He's a player that's going to cover a team's top wide receiver and just beat them up at the line of scrimmage. On this play from the wild card round, he hits Tyreek Hill with a two-hand punch at the line of scrimmage. You can see the knockback he creates on initial contact, and then he drives him into the grass and ends his route. Right here on the backside of the play, he's showing more of a bail technique pre-snap, and then he gets up in DJ Moore's frame, puts him on his back. This play from the Jets game, it's 3rd and 11. He just fires his hands into Garrett Wilson's frame, doesn't even let him get off the line of scrimmage. So in man coverage, L'Jarius Sneed can keep receivers from getting into their routes, and as long as you got a pass rush that can get there relatively quickly, that's going to take away quarterbacks' first reads and hopefully result in a lot of sacks. Now, his aggressive play style does come with some drawbacks. He's not going to win every press.
So we know that Sneed gets penalties and sometimes he can get beat if he misses. But again, you saw the similarities in how both Sneed and Brownlee play at the snap. And you talk, James mentioned it right there from A to Z Sports Film Room, that if you have any type of pass rush, that these guys can win early on the outside, and that really puts offenses in a tough spot. And so that I just think the long-term fit for Brownlee at this in this defense is pretty impressive. Because what did we say, like, heading into the draft? The one position the Titans should not invest a somewhat high pick in is corner, because the guy is going to be the 4th corner for the next at least 2 years. But Brownlee Jr. is a good fit for that 4th corner who can play inside and dime situations and fit the mold of the aggressive natured corner.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you like Brownlee, I think you said it great. He's not a guy who's going to be a CB1 type that's sitting behind 3 other guys without an opportunity to play. He probably fits into your 4th, 3rd best corner role. Maybe he's your nickel if McCreary goes down, or see how McCreary's next couple of years go, and maybe you use Brownlee in the nickel a little bit. But he's definitely somebody that fits the defense, works into this rotation really well, and can, be a long-term solution here again, where now you have Awuzie, Sneed, Brownlee, you've got at least 2 more years of Roger McCreary, and you've got a long-term fix in the secondary, which is just like, I can't believe they've done this. The secondary was awful. It was awful coming into the offseason. Never would I have imagined that they would put themselves in the spot to not just have a good group, but have a really good and deep group with, contract control and some long-term value as well. It's a really nice job transforming the secondary. And I do think Brownlee is a key piece of that moving forward.
Yep. A to Z Sports here live on this Wednesday. Sam and I going through what we think are the best day 3 picks in this draft. Now, the one thing about Brownlee is that his chart like this doesn't look that great across the bottom. And a lot of it is because he is undersized. He's not tall. He's not heavy. He got short arms, small hands. His 40-yard dash was not super fast.
Not the best athlete at cornerback.
Right.
And when you look at a guy with like a bunch of orange and red at the bottom of one of these charts, he's not going to go in the first couple of days, because those measurables do matter to teams to some degree. And so he doesn't have the measurables, but I think he has the rest of it. And I guess the question, right, is like, what wins out here? Does Brownlee's instincts and ability to, have good play strength at the line of scrimmage, does his versatility and, just his physicality win out and make him a really successful corner? Or are there levels of his, lack of athleticism and size that potentially prevent him from developing into the NFL player he could be?
Yeah, and I guess he technically has long arms for being as short as he is. So, kind of an odd thing there. But yeah, I think it's being aggressive, and how can you make that the disciplined aggressiveness overall. So, and Patrick says, I don't want an athlete. I want a football player. It'd be great if you got both, right? But yes, football, you have to be a good football player. Caleb Farley might be a great athlete when healthy. I haven't seen him yet be a natural football player. I think you have Roger McCreary, who is a guy who is a really good athlete, but he's a better football player than he is athlete.
Yeah.
out there. So I think Brownlee kind of fits that mold, as we've said. Okay, let's get to the negative side of things. Who is your least favorite Titans draft pick? Your least favorite Titans draft pick. So we're not limiting this.
Day 3.
Yeah, we're not limiting this to day 3. This is overall, so you can bring out anybody, Latham, Sweat, all the way through the 7th round pick out of Michigan with, Jalen Harrell. So who is your least favorite draft pick from the 2024 draft class for the Tennessee Titans? I'll let you guys bring in your answers, but Sam, first tell us all about the Bone and Joint Institute.
The Bone and Joint Institute, they're the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust, and you don't want to fumble on your recovery. So go to the Bone and Joint Institute, located out in Franklin, with a state-of-the-art rehab facility to assist you in your recovery. It's right off the highway, so it's easy access to get in and out of there. Not a tough drive at all from downtown Nashville. The Bone and Joint Institute has everything all under one roof, from clinic to rehab to surgery, imaging, and testing. You'd have no need to drive all over Middle Tennessee to go to your different appointments. Just go to the Bone and Joint Institute and schedule an appointment with them at boneandjointtn.org.
BetMGM has you covered all playoffs long. I used my Stanley Cup playoff odds boost last night. What did I use it on?
Predators.
Preds money line. So I took Preds money line at plus 105 and turned it into plus 140 because I had that 33% odds boost right there. And you can do the same thing. And tonight, use it with the NBA playoffs because they've got same game parlay boost out there for the NBA playoffs, all playoff long with BetMGM. That's for existing users. If you haven't jumped on the BetMGM train yet, you should do it and use our bonus code ATOZ Sports. That's ATOZ Sports when you sign up with the BetMGM app, and you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So it's the best first bet offer out there on the market. So check out BetMGM with our code ATOZ Sports, up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligible requirements. First online run money wager only. Rewards issued at knowledgeable bonus bets, and bonus bets expire in 7 days. If for problem gambling sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Sam, I will send you to the chat. We still need more likes on the show. Low like show today. And I know King VC has already flown in here with a super chat of lock in and like the show. So make sure you do that for King VC in all of his efforts, not just for us, but for King VC. There. So, Sam, I will send you to the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. The least favorite pick in this Titans class from the entirety of the class, 1 through 7.
Andre says it's Jaquan Jackson. So does Brad. So does John. So does Scott. So does Jody. They all think Jody at least thinks he's too small. Eric says it's Latham. Curtis says Jackson, the wide receiver. I got a James Williams. I've got a Jackson. More Jackson. Pistol Ramsey says Latham, hands down. The wide receiver from Tulane. Jaquan Jackson again. Harrell should have gotten an edge earlier. So, Jake says Jalen Harrell is his least favorite. Jaquan Jackson from Titans. Kyle. Christian Smith. Denise. Jeff. We got Harrell from DeMario and Deshaun Washington. We've got Jackson from...
Pause. On the Harrell. If anybody has the last pick of the draft class as their least favorite pick, then round of applause for the general manager and staff, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's the 7th round pick. It was what? 5 picks before Mr. Relevant, 252, right? 5 picks before Mr. Relevant.
Yeah, it was right at the end.
Yeah. So if that guy is your least favorite, then good class, good work, GM. So that was what I was going to say.
Yeah. Steven says it's Tavondre Sweat. It was too early. I see a JC Latham from Clayton and from Harrell. I see Jaquan Jackson from Billy. Seems like the overwhelming answer here is, and John says, LOL, not seeing any sweats. Yeah, John, you said it, not me. Jaquan Jackson is the answer here for the chat. So, Austin, what is your answer?
I think it's Jaquan Jackson. I just feel like the kid from Virginia, Washington would have made more sense at that pick. He was available and went a few picks right after Jaquan Jackson. They're both very similar in what their skill set and size are, but Washington, which is more explosive, more productive, at a bigger school, had better overall traits, and Jackson might have been the better return man of the two players, but you need receiver depth. And I think Jackson is, he had 1,700 yards in his career and 17 touchdowns is not bad in a multi-year career in college receiving touchdowns. But I just feel like it was a bit of a reach. I don't think anybody was going to take Jaquan Jackson anytime soon. But again, we're talking about a 6th-round pick. So I'm not like crazy about it, but I'm also not beating up anybody about Jaquan Jackson. I think the one positive about it is the fact that he is such best friends with Tyjae Spears, and you're going to get a guy who's going to buy in immediately and just be a lunch pail, do everything you want him to do type of dude. And that's a great culture fit, locker room fit because of the Tyjae connection. That locker room loves Tyjae Spears, so they're probably going to like Jaquan Jackson quite a bit too.
Yeah, here's my thing with it is I hate to do this all the time, but you really don't know what, it's easy to point to a guy and say, oh, Malik Washington, right, would have been there and would have been available maybe. And I don't think anybody was going to take Jaquan Jackson, but I'm looking at it now and Bub Means, Aeneas Smith, Jamari Thrash, all wide receivers that went before Jaquan Jackson, went before Malik Washington. And if you would have told teams that Bub Means was going before Malik Washington, if you would have said that to people ahead of time, they would have said, what? No way. So you don't really know, or at least, I don't really know when, and I don't want to hear about Brendan Rice from Andre. Brendan Rice was a horrible fit for what the Titans needed after going and getting a guy like Calvin Ridley in the offseason. They needed a slot and they needed a guy who has special teams value. And Brendan Rice is slow, doesn't run routes well, doesn't really have great hands. He's got the name Rice, which he has that going for him, and he had Caleb Williams throwing to him in college. So those were two things that Brendan Rice had going for him.
So real quick, Bub Means, by the way, I know about some Bub Means because Bub Means was from Pitt as a wide receiver, but
Sure.
I know Bub Means as Gerard Means, defensive back at Tennessee. So how about that for a little flip of the career? Bub Means was actually somebody that I had circled of I think Bub Means would be a good pick at wide receiver on day 3 for the Titans. And I heard a couple podcasts. I believe Field Yates was a big Bub Means guy as a day 3 type sleeper at wide receiver because of his athletic upside to be recruited to the SEC as a defensive back and then go to Pitt, flip to wide receiver, and then be as successful as he was at Pitt.
Yeah.
So there's a little Bub Means detail.
Alfonso says Rice had 14 touchdowns last season, better fit. No, he's not the better fit. He's just not. You have a better version, a much better version of Brendan Rice at home. His name's Traylon Burks. And so it's funny to me how Titans fans are so down on a guy like Burks, and, rightfully so to a lot of extents, right? And we've talked about those reasons on the show before, but Brendan Rice was not doing anything. And Bork says Rice could allow Hopkins and Ridley to play in the slot. You need a slot more than you need Hopkins or Ridley to play in the slot. And Traylon Burks can do that better, again, than a guy like Brendan Rice, who is slow and can't really run routes. So I'm not concerned about Brendan Rice. And I'm actually not going to say Jaquan Jackson's my least favorite pick because I do think it's a 6th round wide receiver.
Right.
And to me, you're drafting him for the returner that he is and for the special teams value that he can bring, less so for the offensive impact. I'm not expecting a 6th round wide receiver to be a key part of your offense, and Titans fans shouldn't either.
Right.
So I think we just kind of need to understand, hey, we're taking a 6th round wide receiver. The Titans weren't this is our answer. This is our, we need a future wide receiver to grow with Will Levis and be our guy moving forward. And we're going with Jaquan Jackson. They're taking him for being the returner. I think he has more value in that area than a guy like Malik Washington does. And as David Brown says, the new kickoff rule impacted this pick possibly, yeah, like they view him as a dual returner. I asked Rand about Jaquan Jackson and what he saw in him. And first thing he said, dual returner, that's huge with the new kickoff rule, which is going to be the first play of offense, essentially, of every game. And he has an opportunity to gain the Titans big yards multiple times every game. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
not – go ahead.
I was going to add to that. Anthony Malley saying, I'm not expecting a 6th-round receiver to make the team.
I'm expecting this one too.
Yes, me too, because of his value. And I think, were you surprised? I think a lot of people are bummed more than mad about Jaquan Jackson because this was the best receiver class in the however many drafts and all these talent that could be the top 50 picks. And they waited until 182 and got Jaquan Jackson out of Tulane. I think that is a little bit of the thought of they could go Malik Neighbors at 7. They didn't. They could have gone to Dunze at 7. They didn't.
Well, they couldn't go Malik Neighbors at 7. He was gone.
Yeah, right. But like that was on the table, right? I still think if Neighbors was there, that's on the table. And so to go from that all the way to 182 kind of feels like last year of you got to have a receiver. Colton Dowell, 7th-round pick, Vrabel and Rand waving at the crowd for that 5th-round pick of Wiley. So it's the lack of drafting a receiver high enough to make a true impact.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I've talked about this before the draft. The farther away you get from that elite talent of the draft class, the less I felt like the Titans needed to draft a wide receiver. Right. So while I was really on board with a Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze at 7, had that been the direction the Titans chose to go, I wasn't necessarily gung-ho. They must take one at 38 if they go offensive tackle. And once 38 has passed, I didn't know if they needed to take one at all. So, I mean, I do think Jaquan Jackson's somebody who can bring competition to the slot position, who can be a returner for both kickoffs and punts, and potentially have some special teams value in other ways. And overall, that's kind of what I'm looking for out of a 6th-round pick. You're splitting hairs with any of these guys late in the draft. I'll go ahead and get to my answer. Okay. Which I don't love my answer because, again, it feels like you're splitting hairs here. But I'll go with James Williams.
Really?
He just is kind of positionless as a former safety that is viewed as an inside backer, but he doesn't really have any experience playing inside backer. He's just too big to play safety. The reason that he's not a safety is because he's 240 pounds. He's a big hitter. And so I think you could be looking at a guy who's like, to me, this is a special teams pick. Like, this is a guy who's going to be hopefully on your kick team and can make a couple of big hits and cover punts and do that. I'm not sure he has any real defensive value. The reason that I separate him from Jalen Harrell is I think Jalen Harrell is kind of like a lottery ticket to a lot of upside as a pass rusher. Will it work out? Probably not. He's a 7th-round pick. But
I mean, Harold, he led Michigan in sacks last year.
And led Michigan in sacks has a lot of. He's undersized, but a lot of athleticism. Where if he can gain weight, you might be onto at least an impactful edge at the next level. I have a hard time seeing how James Williams is going to have defensive value for the Titans, and because he's really the only guy in this draft class. And this is potentially just a testament to the draft class. Like Latham, Sweat, Gray, I think 3 day 1 starters there. Brownlee, we've talked about as somebody who can be your cornerback 4 and find his way into the rotation. Jaquan Jackson, good returner, special teams value, potentially adds competition to the slot. And Rand is, optimistic about what he can do in short spaces and good short area quickness in the slot. Jalen Harrell maybe doesn't make the team, but upside to play defense as an edge rusher. I see the least upside as a defensive player with James Williams. And so that's going to be my answer.
I actually do see it. I think James Williams was a really interesting pick.
It
Like,
is
I don't.
Interesting. He's interesting. Like
No,
I said,
I
I hate
think.
poking holes and coming
Yeah,
after a
no, I get
seventh
it.
round
I
pick.
think
But
that's the good thing, though. I think overall, the draft class was not flashy, but I think it's really interesting, and I think they can do stuff with it. I like the idea of James Williams. I think he's a little bit of a better Otis Reese because Otis Reese was a college safety that they're putting at linebacker. James Williams the same thing. Look, this franchise, one of the biggest names in this franchise history, Sam, was a college safety that moved to linebacker and was an absolute stud for a decade in Keith Bullock. One of the biggest names in your Chicago Bears history was a college safety that turned into a Hall of Fame inside linebacker in Brian Urlacher. I don't dislike the idea or the game plan of taking James Williams, who is Cam Chancellor. James Williams is Cam Chancellor from a like the spider web thing, where they have like the arm. No, I'm just looking at like the not the
all
player.
right. Yeah,
Just
I'll
saying,
let you
like,
finish.
when they have like the spider web and they just have the different things that go out. Cam Chancellor, James Williams is the same. It's the same. Like height, arms, explosiveness, speed, broad jump, 40, all these kind of things. And it, we'll just see what it turns into. He's going to learn how to play linebacker. The Seahawks kept Cam Chancellor at safety because of the Legion of Boom and all that. But they are very much athletic profile, the same type of athlete. Now,
Sure.
how does James Williams transfer into the league? That's going to be up to him.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a hard question because I don't want to get here and bash somebody who's a seventh round pick who, like you said, it's interesting. Like there wasn't really a pick with the Titans that I went, like I was the most surprised by the Jaquan Jackson pick. I kind of went, oh, okay. But I get it and I kind of see it and I can see what they're going to try and do with all of these different guys. I don't know. I'm trying to look at like ceiling and I think I'm probably the lowest on the ceiling of a James Williams right now. So he would just have to be my default pick. And I'm surprised more people didn't give like somebody like Sweat as their answer because Sweat has been, I think, the most bashed pick of the draft class. So I'm surprised more people didn't say that. Doesn't help that I'm like in on Sweat and you got good value in Cedric Gray in the fourth because now it kind of forces you to have your least favorite pick be one of the sixth or seventh rounders that, are going to have holes and going to have upside.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's get to some super chats here on this Wednesday before trivia. But shout out to A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. It's Mother's Day season, which means you cannot mess that up. And momentspeace.com is where to go. Momentspeace.com/mom is the website to get the gift card for the mom in your life, whether it's your mom, your wife, your girlfriend, your aunt, your uncle, your grandmother, your sister who's a mom, whoever the mom is that needs pampering on Mother's Day. Make sure you take care of them with a Moment's Peace salon and gift day spa gift card. A momentspeace.com/mom is where to go. It could be a mani-pedi combo, a facial, a massage. They've got a 90-minute massage that's phenomenal. Like I feel like I don't do an hour-long massages anymore because my wife and I we do the 90-minute couples massage because it's that good. That extra 30 minutes is totally worth it. And a momentspeace.com has it all. So a momentspeace.com/mom in Cool Springs and Franklin today. So check them out at a momentspeace.com/mom.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs in full swing. First round matchups are wrapping up as some of these series get concluded and some of them get really tight and really fun. Your Nashville Predators still in the NHL playoffs, a couple of really good NBA series going on. So get in on the action with BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet doesn't win. That's BetMGM.com, the king of sportsbooks.
All right, let's get to some super chats. And once again, King VC says, lock in and like the show. Please hit that like button on Facebook and on YouTube. We did a great job the last couple of weeks leading up to the draft in the last few days of
been slacking,
the
though.
show. Yeah, I know. Wednesday, people kind of get to, the draft is over.
Trivia coming up, man. Like
I know.
You gotta
So
like the show for trivia.
Zachary says, as a North Carolina fan, I watched Gray all the time, but you misspelled his name. It's Gagray, UNC fan. But he's a ball magnet, and he does get caught up in blocks, but doesn't give up, doesn't get 200-plus tackles in 2 seasons for nothing. And so Zachary Smith, I guess Zachary is an E over A guy anyway, because Zachary is different. So maybe that's where the Gray comes
Look,
from.
yeah, I mean, I think the 200 plus tackles in 2 seasons is something, right? And you know, I marked this on my wish list when I asked for the Titans to draft Cedric Gray. Was there are very few college inside linebackers with the level of experience and production as Cedric Gray over 3 years of college football, a 3-year starter, a 2-year captain, as Rand mentioned, that give him like leadership traits as well as just production of somebody who knows how to be around the football and make a play.
No, without a doubt. I think, when you're talking about a 4th-round pick, Cedric Gray is a really good value. He was a 2-time first-team all-conference in, the last 2 years. He was 2nd-team All-America 2 seasons ago. So he's got a lot of great pedigree right there. Kick it to the King super chat says, with a draft like the Titans, it's crazy some outlets have the Titans getting a top 5 pick in the 2025 draft. This is a solid 7 to 8 win team in 24. Could win more than that. And look, I don't think like we have A to Z Sports.com has a 2025 mock draft out. It's the way too early 2025 mock, and it's not about what the Titans did in the draft this year, or it's most of these 2025 mocks are basing their orders off of the reverse Vegas odds to win the Super Bowl, because that's kind of how it goes, and that's what they had to go off of. So it's not reflective. I don't think Vegas odds update after the draft for Super Bowl chances. So it's not about what analysts are saying and where the Titans are going to pick. It's all about their odds to win the Super Bowl. So just to kind of clear that up.
Yeah, but I do think there is something to that, right? Like the Titans offseason has been all about improving immediately, finding a way to get players who are going to come in and have an impact immediately. And I think that their draft class was reflective of that, from the first pick to the 4th, 5th, 6th round. Like it's guys who are going to come in and have a role. And the Titans are finding ways to improve at positions of need. And it's not always flashy. It's not always sexy to take, a cornerback 4 with versatility, or an inside linebacker, or a wide receiver that's primarily taken for his return abilities. But when you're a team that needs it linebacker depth, doesn't have a guy on your roster that you trust to return the football, and needs depth in what was a weak secondary that is now turned into a strength of your team, those are picks that help you improve like in one season. These are not all of these picks. I don't want to say this in general, but a lot of these picks aren't high upside picks. They're not like, hey, we're getting a future star in this. Jarvis Brownlee's an example of that. Like, I don't think Jarvis Brownlee has upside to be a future NFL superstar at cornerback, but I do think he has an immediate impact to be a solid player in year 1 and a solid player for the duration of his rookie contract. And, that's all you can really ask out of day 3. But that's been the way that the Titans have kind of prioritized things this offseason.
Yep, they sure have. All right, Sam, let's go ahead and do it. Wrap up this Wednesday show with a little trivia action. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com to save money on that new ride. Sam, are you ready for our trivia time?
Let's go.
All right, trivia here on a Wednesday, 9 categories. We've got 2 rules. 1, no Googling. 2, the chat gets to pick the second category after we lead off with the NFL. So I see it. Big Jeff, his category is there. So Sam, let's start with the NFL and go from there.
All right, NFL, we're starting it off here. Nicknamed Legatron, this man began his NFL career as the kicker for the Rams from 2012 to 2019. One of my favorite NFL nicknames, Legatron. Do you know it, Austin?
I thought it was a different person.
I believe this guy has 2 nicknames.
Okay. I thought I know who it is now, but my initial thought was that Shane Leckler, Raiders punter,
Ooh.
was also Legatron.
Really?
Yeah, but I know it's, Greg Zerline.
Yeah, this is Greg the Leg or Legatron for
Yeah.
Greg Zerline. Great nickname for a kicker. Great kicker as well. Has had a very nice career, has Greg Zerline.
Yeah, I just for some reason Shane Leckler came to mind for whatever reason there, but maybe not. All right, so Jeff nailed it. Snacks and candy. That's what he tried to guess early at last week. Yeah. It wasn't available, but there it is. Snacks and candy.
All right. What gum or mint brand sells a bubble tape variety with the standard form coming in a pink container? Ooh, I know this and I love this product. This is such a fun product. This gum hits different. It tastes different. It's got better texture. And then as a kid, always wanted it just because it was I don't know, it was fun. It was fun to have.
I don't think it's Hubba Bubba.
I think it is Hubba Bubba.
Is it?
It's the
I just thought it was
pink puck that comes.
I know, but I thought it was bubble tape. Like I thought that was the brand.
Oh no, I think it's like a Hubba Bubba bubble tape is like the.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, yeah. Then, I mean, I know what it is. It was fantastic. It was not Bubblicious, man. Bubblicious was,
and it's not. I don't think it's double bubble either, right?
No, but I just thought it was bubble tape. So right. maybe it is Hubba Bubba is the brand.
I think so. Because yes, it is Hubba. Yes, it is. I'll tell you why. Because it comes in the other flavors. It's not just the original. They have the green one and stuff, and that green one, that green apple is like a very specific Hubba Bubba flavor. I feel like. Yeah. So.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Let's go NBA. Classic. Somebody requested NBA.
And Ashley says that she just had to. She didn't Google. She looked at her daughters. So
hey, if you've got it right next to you,
yeah,
and
that's valid. That's good.
Jake is right, man. I can taste the green. Like I have.
It's so good.
I have saliva going. It's like if I say something in your 90s or early 2000s kid, if I just say Warheads, Black Cherry Warheads, immediately you're ready for it.
See, I'll give Jason this. The flavor does last for like not long at all, but man, those first like 20 seconds when you pop in green apple Hubba Bubba is, cloud 9.
Raise your hand if your mouth is watering because I said Warheads. Yep. That's how it goes.
There we go.
NBA,
here we go. In 2021, LeBron James got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs for the first time in his NBA career after the Lakers lost to this team in 6 games. Now, we went over this last week. As a resident LeBron James hater, I know this because I know every time LeBron has lost in the playoffs. I remember these like Super Bowls. So
yeah, no clue. No idea.
This was, should I spoil it?
I mean, we've got Suns coming in.
Yep.
Is it the Suns?
Yeah, this was pre-KD, obviously. Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker went crazy.
Booker going nuts
in that series. So yeah, this is the Phoenix Suns knocking off LeBron James and company.
Television.
All right, television. Here we go. This woman earned 7 Best Actress nominations and 2 wins for her role as Carmela Soprano on The Sopranos from 1999 to 2007. I will know the chat says it. I can see the woman's face and I do not remember her name. And I heard, that is absolutely correct. Tiffany had it first. It is Eddie Falco. Tiffany was on it first here. That's absolutely who it is.
Works for me.
You've never seen The Sopranos?
I have not.
Might have to get on that.
I know, right?
Let's go with like you'd get into Sopranos.
I know I would love it. It's just something I don't have HBO.
You should get that as well. I think Max just but sidebar, I think it's by far the best of the streaming services. Of like your Hulu, Netflix, Prime Video, Max, I think Max is definitely the best.
Yeah. Okay. Major League Baseball.
All right, MLB, here we go. This National League franchise holds the record for most Rookie of the Year winners ever with 18, including 5 in a row from 92 to 96. Okay, I've got it.
5 in a row? How in the hell? I don't know.
The
How do
chat
you
is
have
saying
5 Rookie in the Years in a row?
Yeah, well,
This is
they're
insane.
one of the best organizations in sports. So a lot of people are saying the Braves. It is not the Braves.
No, because they had a veteran team.
It is the Dodgers. David Brown,
Really?
Keith Moore, Scott Weaver. Well, I'm pretty sure Piazza won it in 95
I didn't realize
the
he was that
Do-
young.
with the Dodgers.
Okay. I mean, if you think it's the Dodgers, I know also know the Cubs had a really good like run of young players.
No, this is not. Yeah, this isn't the Cubs though. No, I'm almost positive this is the Dodgers
All right,
because
lock it in with the Dodgers.
Piazza's the one that's sticking out to me.
Yeah, but there's 4 others.
Bang.
That's insane.
Yeah, but it's the year. If
yeah, I know.
you have the
That's
years,
just
but if
great. That's true. Let's go with music.
all right, music. Here we go. She'll only come out at night, the lean and hungry type are the opening lyrics to this 1982 Haley and Oates song.
Hall and Oates. What Hall and Oates? Come on.
That's it. Oh,
Hall and Oates.
All right. In my defense, there was a little smudge on my screen that blocked off part of the L, and it looked like an I. Hall and Oates. I'm sorry, there was a thing on my screen. You know my.
She's a man eater. Man eater.
Okay, is that the answer? That was going to be my guess.
Yes, man eater.
All right. Well, look at me. Okay, I did know that one.
Good.
Look at me getting a 1982
music
music question right.
There you go.
She's a man eater.
I knew that was
one way ticket. Yeah.
Geography.
All right, geography. You're not going to get through a trivia without me singing. Oslo, the capital of what European country? Fire it off. Oslo is in. Go, Austin.
I don't know.
Norway.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Norway is not in my repertoire. But
Oslo,
the chat is all over Norway.
Yep. Matt was on it first. Chris is on there. Jeff is in there. Cristofero is on there. Titans Kyle. Yeah, Oslo is the capital of Norway. Shout out to Norway.
There you go. Movies.
Do you think do you think A to Z Sports has ever had a viewer in Norway?
I would say the odds are good.
Nice. That's pretty sick.
I mean, I haven't seen Ian in a while. Our guy Ian is in Scotland. Watches all the time.
True.
We're international.
We're doing movies.
Yep.
Nick Cannon played a music. Oh, let's go. College student with the prodigal talent in this 2002 coming-of-age dramedy that also starred Zoe Salanda and Orlando Jones.
Orlando Jones watches the show.
Orlando Jones does watch the show.
Yes. Drumline, baby.
Drumline. Classic. Nick Cannon. What a guy.
That's right. All right. Celebrity mashup to wrap this thing up.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Oh, boy. Okay. I've got them both. Just like that.
I think I feel pretty good about the inside.
Yeah, the inside I think is easy. And I think the outside is somewhat easy as well. I don't think it's Bruce Willis. I think the outside is going to be Vin Diesel here.
Okay, James Corden's the inside.
Yes, I agree.
Vin Diesel, is that what you're saying?
I think this is Vin Diesel and James Corden. Yes.
Okay, I can see that.
I do see that.
I'm not as confident in Vin Diesel, but I don't have any.
No, those are his ears, man. Those are Vin Diesel's ears.
Yeah, you got that too fast.
Corden is absolutely the inside. Bang.
Boom,
Perfect.
boom.
9 for 9 in 10 minutes and 2 seconds. Let's go.
And we could have gone a lot faster.
No, yeah, I wonder if you see, the problem is speed running it is hard because I want to give the chat an opportunity.
Yeah. For sure. But we got distracted by the smudge on your screen that made you think it was
There
Holly
was a smudge on the screen. There was a song from the 80s that I got right. I had to talk about Mike Piazza, 1995 Rookie of the Year, something like that.
Yeah, we know. Anyway, Titans draft picks. We'll talk more about them coming up the rest of the week. We've got 2 shows left in this week, Thursday and Friday, to get through more of these storylines. And also, we haven't talked about what the head coach said about wide receiver Treylon Burks yet this week. So also appreciate all of you guys for watching today and interacting. That's it for us on this Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to like the show on the way out the door. Buck Rising live with A to Z Sports prime time tonight. New start time at 7 p.m. And typically 615 sessions is on Fridays. But because we are going to the Greg Cosell with Rand Carthon event with Buck at the install on Friday, 615 sessions this afternoon. And I'm not going to spoil who's on it because I don't want to mess up any potential booking issues that Buck had. But Buck live this afternoon with 615 sessions reacting to the draft class again. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow on a Thursday. Appreciate it as always.